practicing, working out, and whatnot. We really just in the house, goofing off with each other, playing Madden, listening to music. We don't really do too much, honestly. I appreciate it.
You making him work?
Well, you know, I'm not going to he's got to get used to that stuff. He's going to stop. He has to stop.
Jalen, what changed for you when X got hurt? Like, you know, you came into the season with one set of expectations in terms of how it was going to go. Like when he got hurt, and it was the game you came back right after being hurt for a couple games against Kansas. So it changed mid-game for you. Like, what was hard about that right when it happened?
I mean, obviously going into the season, no one expected what happened to X to happen. So I knew going into the year, prior to me committing, I didn't know if X was going to come back, but I knew if he did, he was a guy that I already had a relationship with and I would love to play with. So during the year, obviously, me and him were both point guards. I had the ball in my hand, he had the ball in his hand. So once he went out, obviously I hated for that to happen to him, but it was almost like a blessing to me because it allowed everyone to see that I really am a point guard and I can really run a team, as a freshman. And I'm a guy who loves to have the ball in my hand. So I think all year I just been able to showcase, my talent level and what I can really do at the point guard position.
And, you said you came in with the expectation of, sharing the role with him. Were you okay with that coming in?
Yeah, I was fine with that. At the end of the day, I'm a player I can do anything on the floor. You put me anywhere, and I feel like I'm able to contribute. Me and him were both obviously in the starting lineup playing together. He's an unselfish player. I'm an unselfish player. So me and him were both able to produce and do what we do. But I think whenever he went out, definitely my production level went up a little bit. I was able to score the ball a little bit more, showcase a little bit more of my all-around game.
Right. When he went out, like, what was the coach's message to you? Like, did they say, like, hey man, this is your team, or what was their, or was it just a natural transition and nothing needed to be said?
It was almost like natural because, like you said, like it happened in Kansas game. That was my first game back, so it was like mid-game. It was just like the balls in your hand, so it wasn't really like
I know
Mark said. That's good. After that game, I think we obviously lost that game, but once we found out X was gonna be out, it was pretty much like you really gotta step up. The keys are in your hand now, so
got game for it.
I was ready for it.
Do you remember thinking anything at halftime when you saw him on crutches, and obviously your role and responsibilities changed in that instant? Do you remember what you were thinking at that time?
I was just hoping that it wasn't like bad. Like I didn't want him to go out the rest of the season. But once I found out more details about it, I really knew it was time to show everybody what I could really do. Because there was doubters. I'm not really a person who hears the outside noise, but I definitely heard people saying like, yeah, I don't know if he can play point guard, if he's a point guard, if he can do it. So, I think the whole year I've been showcasing that, I'm a high-level player and that I can run a team at the point guard position.
The doubts I heard about you from others was your three-point shooting. Have you surprised yourself with how efficient you've been from beyond the arc?
I haven't surprised myself because I've always known I've been able to shoot the ball. Obviously, I'm in the gym 24/7 working on it. So I think now being at Indiana, I'm finally being able to showcase my full game. The coaches have an unbelievable trust in me as a freshman to go out there and just be myself. I think just from day one, they seen the work I put in. So I don't really think they question anything that I'm doing. They know I'm working on it. So when it comes to game time, I'm able to just be myself and be Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Right. How good of a showcase has this been for you? You've had the ball in your hand. You're freshman of the year, all Big Ten. Like, is this gone as well as you hoped it would have?
Definitely. Definitely something I envisioned for myself. Obviously, before the season, I wrote down goals and just the work I put in. I prepared myself for this moment. Freshman of the year is a huge accomplishment, all the other accolades, but one of the main goals I had was to win a national championship. So now that I'm finally in March Madness and I'm here with my brothers, I'm definitely just locked in and ready to take it one game at a time. But I'm really excited to see how far we can go this tournament.
Talk about the matchup with Kent State. It's going to be match up directed right at you with their best defensive player will be on you. Their best offensive players is out in the backcourt, so it's going to be a challenge for you guys, you specifically.
I mean, yeah, Kent State is a good team. Obviously, they won their conference, the MAC and whatnot. They have good players, good guards. So, we're definitely going to have our hands full, but we're prepared for this. I'm prepared for this. I love, the bright lights. I love having a tough matchup or somebody guarding me who's supposed to be good and whatnot. So definitely been watching a lot of film. We've been going over all their sets and everything. So we're obviously prepared for this. But I'm just excited to get out there. I know it's going to be a dogfight, so we just got to go in with the approach that we're going to go out there and beat them pretty bad. That's the approach we got to go out there and have.
Talk about the bright lights. There's no lights brighter than these that here at the NCAA tournaments on national network, TV, CBS, of course. What is this a way for you to showcase to future employers, so to speak, your skills and your talents? I know it always is when you step on the court, but specifically this tournament.
I mean, yeah, like you said, every game I go out, whether it's a regular game playing against, my little sister, I want to showcase that I'm the best player. So definitely it being March Madness, obviously the stage is definitely bigger. So there's no pressure on me. I'm just go out there and do what I do. Be Jalen Hood-Schifino, play my game, but as a team, we just got to do what we do.
What have you seen from the scouting in Kent State and what they're planning on seeing in the game?
Offensively, they have good guards, like to get downhill. If we can contain their guards, we'll be fine. On defense, they're definitely an aggressive team. Like to get steals, like to reach a lot. So, if we can just stay composed, stay poised, and just do what we do, we'll be fine.
I remember before the season you said you used to play in the grandparents' backyard maybe against your cousins.
Yeah.
Now you're going up against older guards all the time. Do you think that helps you? Do you ever reflect back on that and say, man, I was prepared for this years ago?
All the time. That's really all I think about, just growing up in Pittsburgh. And in my neighborhood, I was the youngest kid. So and I had two older cousins, Sharon and DeAndre, so I was always playing with them too, my granddad, and it was a lot of older kids in the neighborhood, so they would all play, and I'd be the youngest. I couldn't really do much at the time. I used to get bullied by my cousins, and I couldn't guard them, couldn't really score that much, so that's definitely helped me, and as I gotten older, it just molded me into the player I am, just that toughness, and being able to lead guys, and, stuff like that.
Jalen, can you explain, you had that big game against Purdue, I think it was 35 points.
Yeah.
And then you came back against Iowa, and of course you guys got smoked behind them in Bloomington, and you didn't shoot so well, the team didn't play so well. Can you explain the up and downs of you and that, coming off that big game like the Iowa game, or like the Purdue game, and then going against Iowa, and then the team the same way?
I mean, I'm human. I'm a basketball player. I mean, every player has ups and downs, so I mean, it's just a part of the game. You can never get too high and never get too low. Some games I might hit every shot. One game I might not make no shot. But at the end of the day, I'm confident enough to know that I put in the work, and sometimes it's not going to be my day. So obviously the Purdue game, I had a great game, and Iowa game, I was off and we lost. So it's just a part of the game.
You just kind of. It seems like when you make your first couple of shots, then you're off and running with as far as making them for the rest of the game. Is that something you think about a lot when you want to get off to that good start?
I mean, yeah, any player wants to obviously hit their first couple shots, but if I'm not, I mean, if you look at the box scores or anything, regardless of if I'm missing shots, I'm still going to take my shots. Whether I go 10 for 14 or if I go 1 for 14, I'm going to still take the shot. So, I look at it from a positive standpoint. You can never take me out of my game as far as me losing confidence or not taking shots. I'm going to play my game and do what I do regardless.
What do you remember thinking during that Purdue game when it really started clicking for you? People say, are you in the zone? What do you remember going through your head with that crowd, obviously, completely against you?
I mean, we obviously beat them already at our place,
right.
So we knew it was going to be an intense game, harsh crowd and whatnot. And, Trace, at first, he wasn't getting going as much. So I know for me, it was all right, now it's really go time. I got to start putting points on the board for us. And I had my first couple of shots, got to the free throw line, and I was just on. You can say I was in the zone and whatnot.
Is that a thing for you, the zone? I know it's kind of cliche, but I mean, is there a point where you just man, I'm gonna make everything I shoot at this point.
I mean, yeah,
at least in your head.
Yeah, I mean, every game I always try to be in the zone.
Right,
I'm always locked
right.
in, but obviously that was just one of them games where I was just hitting every shot. The guys were looking for me to put points on the board, and I was able to do that night.
Right. Appreciate your time, kids. Good luck.